What's up, guys? Dan Cadell alongside former world champion Chris Algieri, and today we're in world famous Church Street Gym right here in Manhattan. And on April 20th, we're going to see Ryan Garcia going up against Devin Haney, trying to take his belt at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. You can watch that live on ppv.com. And in today's video, we're going to break down Devin Haney's strengths, Ryan Garcia's strengths, the matchups, everything you need to know for this fight. Chris, are you pumped up for this fight? It's been the weirdest build-up of all time.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so hectic leading up to it. I feel like a lot of people aren't even thinking about the fight anymore. But we got to think about it, did some homework, and we put some things together.
And Chris, these two have a long history. We're talking about 6 amateur fights, start when they were about 10 or 11, right up to they were about 16. And apparently, if you talk to either one, they say they got the best of the other, but it's 3 apiece. Game 7 in boxing, you hear that in sports, you hear that in baseball, you hear that in hockey. You don't really hear that in boxing, so there's a lot baked into this promotion, let alone the nasty stuff, but these two know each other. These two have been circling. You knew they were going to fight in the pros.
And that's really important. I think for a lot of people who've never laced up the gloves, they've never been in, how important it is that these guys actually know what the other one's like. They've literally sweated on each other. They've punched each other in the face already. So that's big. You don't often get that in the pros. So that's going to be a curious storyline for this fight. I wish we were talking more about that instead of all the other stuff that we were talking about leading up to this fight. Because ultimately, yeah, these guys do have a history, and obviously, like you said, 3-3. Well, let's make it 4-3.
It's all part of the promotion. I think this is going to do a mega sales. Chris got the gloves on already, so let's head into the ring, get this one started. A quick word from our sponsors at ppv.com. It's fight week. Devin Haney is finally getting in the ring with Ryan Garcia, April 20th at the Barclays Center, and the best way to order it is with ppv.com. It's the premier home for pay-per-view events. What makes it so special is our live interactive chat. It's going to be me, Chris Algieri, Jim Lampley, and Lance Pugmire in the chat interacting with you. And also, second best part, no subscriptions. We will never ask you for a subscription. ppv.com just doesn't believe in it, and it's one of the best things about it. No strings attached. Order the fight. Enjoy a great, clear stream. Enjoy the chat. And you can stream it on your phone. You can stream it on your tablet. You can stream it on your big screen TV. You can take the fight with you if you're on the road, if you're watching from the bar, if you're watching in bed. It's the greatest way to order a pay-per-view, so go check out ppv.com. Order Haney versus Garcia, and I'll see you guys in the chat. Back to the video. All right, Chris, it's time to talk about Devin the Dream Haney, the 140-pound champion, battle tested. We're talking about a guy that went to Australia twice, who took on Lomachenko. I don't care if he thought he won or he lost. He still fought him, and he fought him admirably. I feel like the thing with Haney is he's always improving. He's always willing to bring on new coaches into his camps to work different things. But also, when I think of Devin Haney, I think of fundamentals. He's so fundamentally sound inside of that ring.
Yeah, absolutely. Fundamentally sound, well-schooled. And it's because he's so disciplined. A lot of that you see in the ring comes from how he acts outside of the ring. He lives the lifestyle of a champion, the champion lifestyle, the champion mindset. He maintains that, and like you said, he's ever improving because he's always in the gym. He's always training hard, and that's what discipline really pays off.
And also, not to cut you off, but that's a big part of this fight is discipline, right? We talk about a guy in Ryan Garcia who, let's be honest, not the most disciplined fighter, and I think the thing about Devin Haney was making him shine.
That's understatement.
The thing that Devin Haney is making him shine throughout this entire promotion is how right on the money disciplined. I'm not letting anything Ryan Garcia says. I'm in the gym. I'm going. I'm thinking about me rather than my opponent.
I mean, they're in that degree. It's a stark contrast between the two, and stylistically it is too.
All right, let's get into those strengths of Devin Haney, which makes him so great.
Yeah, you mentioned that he's so fundamental. He's also very disciplined in the way that he approaches the fight and also how he fights in the ring. Staying with discipline for 12 rounds is a very difficult thing to do. He's fundamentally sound. He's athletic. His endurance is fantastic and is ever improving. So with Devin Haney, he fights out of that stance with that lead hand down. He fights a lot of times in a low position. He makes a lot of lateral movements. Nothing's wasted with Devin, though. He's always setting things up, looking for things. And the way that he really sets everything up is that left jab. When you're dealing with Devin Haney, you're gonna have that jab in your face all night long. Whether you're a righty, lefty, doesn't matter. He's jabbing you from a distance. Like I mentioned, he has very long arms, uses that reach, uses that speed. So with Devin, he's on this outside, he's giving you feints, he's giving you movements, he's giving you different looks, and then bang, that thing's in your face all day long. And he's got multiple different jabs. He'll do stab jabs, he'll jab high, he'll jab low. He's always looking to land that left hand because he's setting up what's coming next. which is usually that big right hand with a nice slide at the end.
There's something we saw in the Lomachenko fight was the body work.
Yeah.
That's something that he has been working on a lot in camps. And we didn't see much in the Prograis fight, didn't have to, but in the Lomachenko fight, the one thing I remember was the body work. That's something that Haney wasn't really known for.
No, I think he's not really a puncher, and that's one thing. I wasn't really a puncher either, but I was a good body puncher. It really levels things out when you're dealing with guys who have good power. Haney, a lot of times, he'll use that lead shoulder and elbow as a defensive measure. So when that front hand comes out, he'll pop that up, and then he comes back with that body shot that you were talking about. Dan, he'll go here, boom. Or he slides out when that punch comes towards me. He'll slide out this way, become visible, and then come back down to the body there. So he has a lot of opportunities to make a guy miss, make a guy reach, and then touch you in the breadbasket.
And then at the end there, when you did that slide when he was gone, that was the Prograis fight. The
Yes.
Prograis fight was he was just a master in that fight. Angles.
He was staying invisible all night long, staying away from that vaunted power of Prograis from that left hand.
Right, in that Prograis fight, man, I couldn't believe what I was watching. Prograis is a former world champion, and I thought he just was made to look like almost amateurs at times, and that's because Devin Haney uses his angles so well in that fight.
The fundamentals work from the beginning all the way to the top. That was just fundamentals. He was staying invisible, staying on the outside. You ever heard a coach yell, "Keep him turning"? That's all Devin did that night. He kept the puncher turning. When the puncher can't get set, oftentimes that power can't get delivered.
How about his defense, too? I feel like it's an underrated aspect of
Absolutely.
Devin's game. You think about his jab, and you think about the deficiencies, which we'll get to a little bit. Maybe he's not the biggest puncher, but man, he is hard to hit.
Well, he's very bladed in his stance. He fights with that hand down, but because of his longer arms and the fact that he stays a little bit lower, he actually covers his whole body here. He keeps his right shoulder very far back. That's what bladed means. And he has that lead stick. That's always in your face. He's got that long arm, and like I said, he's not adverse to having that when that right hand comes over, using that arm to block and create that distance.
So that front arm could work as two things. It could work as
Offense
a
and
jab,
defense.
and it could work as kind of a defensive move.
Well, a jab can be used as offense or defense, and he uses it to judge range. He uses it as a weapon. He uses that thing to do damage as well as being defensive.
All right, some of the deficiencies for Devin Haney. Doesn't have many. We're talking about a guy that's now climbing the ranks of the pound-for-pound list, but he's not the biggest puncher in the world. How does he make up for the lack of power?
Precision and timing. Precision and timing. I mean, he's so precise. He's very busy, too. So a lot of times when there's close rounds, judges like a guy who's working, and Devin's the kind of guy who's going to work. But also, he can get lost in the sauce at times, trying to fight more than he needs to, like we saw in the Lomachenko fight. Now, he stood in front of Lomachenko and went at it with him. And often, a lot of those rounds, he got the worst of it. So he needs to be careful not to get into exchanges when he's not ready.
Okay, you say that. This fight has gotten personal. The promotion in this fight has gotten personal. You've heard every insult thrown back and forth between these two. Fathers are getting involved. Will he get goaded into a firefight with Ryan Garcia? Because that's, I feel like, what Ryan Garcia wants.
No, he won't, because he's disciplined. That's the number one thing about Devin Haney. I'll scream it from the rooftops. He is the most disciplined guy, disciplined of those young guys out there today. He's very disciplined outside the ring. He's very disciplined inside the ring. He's very disciplined at the dais and the press conference. He knows what to say, when to say it, and he stays very much within himself.
Time to talk about our guy, Ryan Garcia. He's made it to fight week. He's made it to fight night. Big power, big left hook. Philly shell in his last fight. Can't be doing that again. What are some of Ryan Garcia's strengths inside of that ring?
I mean, it's that left hand. It's that left hook, man. His ability to pull the trigger with the lightning quick speed and reflexes that he has on that thing. And I think is powerful. He's got one punch power. He really does. He's a very, very talented, physically gifted guy. You know, he fights with his hand down as well, just like we talked about Devin Haney. But he fights very tall. He fights very long. You know, and a lot of times he'll just kind of mosey his way on up to guys and look for that counter. You know, he makes you reach, bang, and that thing comes right over the top. Very, very quick. Like I said, pulls that trigger nicely. Ultimately, he's a counterpuncher. In recent years, he's been stalking guys down. You know, you mentioned that Philly shell where he actually turned his back and was in bad positions against Duarte. He can't do that with Devin. Devin will dog walk him if he does that. If he turns around like that, Devin's going to be all over.
I think Devin said that he actually wants to see him try and do it. He said, yeah, bring that Philly shell back out.
I don't think that's a good place to try it with Devin Haney. But in recent years, he's been more like stalking on guys and coming forward, which I think at times he's going to need to do with Devin because Devin's such a good lateral movement boxer from the outside. One thing about Ryan that he does really well is when he does get guys to come at them, he counters great with the hooking shots. We saw that even in in the Tank Davis fight, where he was able to punch with him and catch him with certain shots. He was using a nice right hook because he was fighting the southpaw. But he can punch with both hands. I know we're always talking about the left hook. That's the money shot, but he's got a pretty good right hand too.
I also feel like with Ryan, he's got the reach advantage, and I think he does a really good job. He doesn't jab a lot, right?
No.
And you know,
he paws.
Yeah,
he'll reach.
Give a rangefinder where he kind of he keeps his chin back at times when he is defensively sound, and when he's keeping his chin back, he's leaving that stick out there. He's not really. He's palming. He's not really pronating, as they say. He's like turning it over, but he's using that jab as a kind of a rangefinder, right?
Yeah. There's oftentimes you see a lot of photos. Ryan, he's like you said, he's very tall. He's very up, but he's tall and long for the weight class. A lot of times, taller guys can do some things you wouldn't expect them to do or get away with because they have that reach advantage.
Okay, another thing with Ryan Garcia, and a lot of this is probably can go into the criticism bucket, is like, all he's got is that left hook. Tank Davis was yelling it throughout the whole promotion. Oh, you got is a left hook. Oh, you got is a left hand. Is he more than just a left hand? Is there anything else that he can use in this fight to beat Devin Haney, who's, as we just said, really hard to hit?
Well, when Tank was saying that's all you got is left hook, I was like, yeah, but sometimes, and a lot of times, that's all it takes. If you got a secret weapon that works, and that's the only thing you do and you make it work, then yeah, that's the shot. In the Tank Davis fight, obviously it wasn't enough. Tank was showing himself to be the much more complete fighter. But with Devin, you're going to need more than just a left hook.
So basically in this fight, once again, for Ryan Garcia, it's land that left. If he doesn't land that left, you're looking at a wide decision loss or even a stoppage.
So there's an old saying in boxing, you can jab with a jabber, don't hook with a hooker. Ryan's the hooker in this situation. If he can get Devin to get out of his shell and away from being so disciplined and trade hooks with him, he's got a shot. But just because he starts getting out jabbed by Devin doesn't mean that he should abandon his own jab. He should look to try and find his jab in this fight, especially because of how slippery Devin can be. Changes levels, stays low, keeps that head moving, a lot of lateral movement. He can, like you mentioned, using that jab, I want to see him snap it, but then hook off that.
So set up his power shots with a more established jab, something he hasn't really shown much of in previous fights.
I'd mentioned that he's a counterpuncher. I think he needs to get Devin to bite. He needs to get Devin to bite on the first move. Get that first quick athletic movement out of Devin, and then look to counter with the left hook.
All right, deficiencies with Ryan Garcia, I mean, there are many of them. People
of
look to his footwork, they look to his defense, they look to his the Philly shell where he's pulling out these crazy things. Mm-hmm. What do you see like the most jarring deficiency of Ryan Garcia's game?
Defense. Most jarring deficiency is absolutely his defense. We saw that in the Tank Davis fight, his hand position when he punches, right? So when he throws that left hook, a lot of times his hand is down. Yeah. He's got his chin way up in the air.
He got hit because when he was throwing.
Exactly. So when he throws, he really puts everything into his power, into his punching power. He believes in it, as he should, because he's got a lot of knockouts, a lot of brilliant knockouts too. So he throws everything into those shots and completely leaves his defense, his hand position. Tank literally was waiting for that. He went underneath the hook and threw his own over the top to get to that shot because he knew the hand wasn't going to be up, and it wasn't. I'm curious to see if he's made any changes to that, where he's tightening up that. But also, it seems like once he gets excited, that arm starts to float out once again. So once he starts getting power happy, that defense goes out the window.
I don't know, man. As a fan, I like that. I think a lot of fight fans at home like that when he smells blood in the water. I mean, even if it's not the right move, he did that in the second round against Tank, ended up hitting the canvas. He did that in the Duarte fight. He was kind of stalking. Will he do that with Devin Haney is the reason we watch these fights.
Like I said, if he can get Devin to trade with him, then we're going to have a fight. Otherwise, he's going to have trouble tracking Haney down. Devin can stay on the outside, utilize that jab, be slippery from the outside, and really just pick him apart if he chooses to. If he wants to get in the gutter a little bit and make it personal, then yeah, I think we're going to have an exciting fight with some nice exchanges.
All right, we got both fighters' strengths, a few of their weaknesses. Now it's time to talk about how we think this fight will play out. To me, I think there are three ways this fight can go. Devin Haney can jab all day long. He can use his angles, and he can probably go 12-0 on Ryan Garcia inside that ring, fighting a very disciplined fight. Or Devin can get emotional. He can let the promotion leak into the back of his mind and say, you know what? Forget this. I'm brawling with Ryan Garcia. I want to stop Ryan Garcia, which could leave some openings for Ryan, like you said, is a very good counterpuncher. And then there's the third option where Ryan Garcia kind of just walks him down and we finally see him put everything together and be the guy that a lot of fans out there want him to be. Out of those three options, what do you see happening in this fight?
I see a little bit of a hybrid. I think that Ryan's best bet, I had mentioned in what he does well, is to get Devin to commit to bite on his first move and then look to counter. But I just don't see Ryan staying disciplined enough to set that up. I think he's going to do what he did in the tank fight. He's going to try and walk Devin down, which will make it more fun for us to watch. He's gonna come forward.
First round, second round, what is he gonna do?
I think right away. I think he's gonna come out there. He's gonna try and get after Devin. He's gonna try and be physical.
Hear that crowd?
He's gonna use his physical size and advantages there and try and land that speedy left hook. And Devin is gonna, I believe, will stay disciplined, look for his counter opportunities. We mentioned the body punches, how he does that well. I think that's gonna play a big factor in this fight because one, we saw him get dropped and stopped to the body by Tank Davis. There's been reports that he was hurt to the ribs in sparring before that.
Yep, right,
so obviously there's a deficiency in terms of his defense for body punches, but also just look at his style. He stands very, very tall. He's got that lead hand down. When you have a long torso like that and you're not changing levels or staying low, there's a lot of target. And I think Ryan, with his stance and his style, especially with that head leaned back the way it is, Devin's gonna have a lot of open shots to the body. And he's turned into a good body puncher recently. So I think we're gonna see some good body work from Devin. And I do believe at some point Devin is going to get on the front foot, start to stalk Ryan down, try and get him out of there.
All right, CA, it's time for your segment here. The CA categories. Let's go down the list. Power, speed, ring IQ, defense, chin. We'll start with power. Who's got the power edge in this fight?
I'm going Ryan Garcia on the power edge. Obviously, he's got a lot more knockouts. We see the highlight reel knockouts, so that's Ryan.
Speed. You can't handle your speed, son.
So this is a tricky one, right? Because Devin Haney's very fast, but Ryan's very explosive. So I'm gonna go with the more explosive guy, Ryan, even though his footwork is slow, because if you compare everything, which you kind of do. But I'm going Ryan because of that blistering speed. He's known as the Flash.
So 2 categories for Ryan Garcia. Ring IQ. I think I know where you're going here.
100%, that's Devin Haney. Devin Haney is the master boxer in there.
Chin and defense. We've seen Ryan hurt. We have seen Devin wobbled.
Yep.
Just wobbled, not down.
He's been hurt in other fights as well. He's been hit with good shots, but if you're combining the 2, chin and defense, I'm definitely going to go with Devin Haney. I think his defense is much better than Ryan's, and his chin's not bad. Yeah, we saw him get hurt against Linares, who's a much smaller, older guy, but I think a lot of that had to do with his weight. Now that he is back at up to 140, I think he's going to be stronger and more durable.
I think everyone brings up that Devin Haney one moment where he got wobbled.
Yep.
If you only could bring up one moment when a guy was wobbled, then they have pretty good chin, they got pretty good defense.
And it's Jorge Linares is a very, very good multiple division world champion.
This is a very big fight. April 20th, you can watch live on ppv.com. Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the In Ring Breakdown.